Hey beautiful souls, I'm Asha if you don't know me. I'm currently 36 weeks pregnant. Throughout this pregnancy, I have become so passionate about natural and medically unassisted childbirth, and I've just been doing so much research and learning and unlearning and just listening to my intuition, and I'm feeling so empowered with the discoveries and realizations that I've had. I just really want to share this, and so I thought, what better way to start my YouTube channel than with a little series on natural childbirth. Today I want to talk about why I'm choosing to have a home birth. I've known this for many years since I got into like the whole natural health kind of world. I've known that I want to have a home birth and a unmedicated birth. But yeah, just lately with everything I've been learning, I'm so shocked with all the stuff that happens in the hospitals, and it's just insane to me, like how much unnecessary intervention occurs and how out of harmony it really is for the mother and the baby. And I'm just feeling that home birth is really resonating with me, and so I want to share that with you. I do want to give a little disclaimer here. I am just sharing my opinions about home birth. I know that some people would much prefer a hospital birth. That's completely okay. I don't want anyone to feel shame for the decisions that they decide to make for themselves. This is just what resonates with me and what feels best for me, and I just want to share it because I feel like there's probably other women out there who feel similarly and want to have this type of birth. So, yeah, without further ado, let's get into why I'm choosing to have a home birth. So, the first reason is the importance of a stress-free, relaxing, and comfortable environment. And the reason for this, when we are in a stressed state or have any sort of stressors, basically it puts your body into fight or flight mode, which is a protective mechanism that helped our ancestors fend themselves off from predators and those types of situations. But in today's day and age, basically in labor, let's say if you are in a stressed out state, you go into fight or flight mode, your muscles are going to tense up, which is going to cause pain. All the blood is going to flow away from your uterus, which is going to slow and halt labor, and it's basically just going to make it so that your body is fully focused on either fighting or flighting, right? And it's not going to be productive for labor whatsoever. So Robert Bradley, in his book Husband Coach Childbirth, which is a really good book, by the way, there's some outdated trains of thought, I would say, but there is a lot of information in there that did really resonate with me. But he says, according to his observation of other mammals in labor and of the 26,000 births that he's been present for, he says that there are a few necessary factors to ensure a smooth, easy, stress-free labor. The need for darkness, quiet, and solitude. The need for physical comfort. So in animals, it would be like nesting, that kind of thing, making sure you're in a comfortable position. The need for physical relaxation. So things like lights, loud noises, strangers walking in, uncomfortable positions. These things all can cause your muscles to tense up, which can put you in that stress mode, which slows or halts labor. Controlled deep breathing and the ability to concentrate without distractions. So these things would all come naturally and instinctually if we were connected to our instincts, which as a society we have become very disconnected from our instincts. Which brings us to the next point, which is that I see birth as a natural bodily function. Just like peeing or pooping or menstruating or conceiving a child, these are not medical events. This is something that women's bodies are designed for. We've been doing this for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And I mean, we're still alive as a species, so we were doing something right. I feel part of the reason that it has become such a medical condition and that there are so many complications is because we're so disconnected from our instincts. And we're just living in such an unnatural and unhealthy way, unfortunately, generally speaking. Laura Kaplan Shanley, who wrote the book Unassisted Childbirth, which is by far my favorite book that I've read so far on birth, she says that the main reasons for birth complications is poverty or malnutrition, physical intervention, and the psychological state of the mother. So emotions like fear, shame, and guilt. There's actually a quote on her website that I want to read to you because it's just like, it speaks to me. One of the greatest myths perpetuated by the medical system is that hospitals are the safest place to give birth. Stories abound of women dying in childbirth before the advent of modern hospitals, and yet few people realize that women were not dying due to the fact that childbirth is inherently dangerous, but rather because of the living conditions at that time. Poor women were generally underfed and overworked during pregnancy, while wealthy women were often deprived of fresh air and sunshine because brown skin was considered socially unacceptable. Wealthy girls were corseted from the age of 11, so that by the time they turned 14, their pelvises were literally deformed. These physical factors, combined with the various psychological ones, fear, shame, and guilt, led to the problems that some women encountered. Throughout history, normal healthy women have rarely died in childbirth. In fact, when birth moved from the home to the hospital in the 1920s, the infant and maternal mortality rates actually rose. A major study done as early as 1933 showed that hospital births were not as safe as home births. Studies done in the last 20 years prove this is still the case. And she has those studies cited on her website, which is unassistedchildbirth.com. And I highly recommend this as a resource to anyone having any type of birth, whether it is in a hospital or at home, whether it's with a medical professional or not. There's so much valuable information on here just about like overcoming fears and that kind of thing. All right, so the third reason why I'm having a home birth is to prevent unnecessary interventions and birth traumas. Hospitals are not exactly set up for a successful labor and birth, unfortunately. Not only is the environment stressful, but other factors such as the doctor sticking his or her hand up your vagina to check your dilation can be a major stress on your body. Not only is that painful and uncomfortable, but it will again tense your muscles and potentially slow down labor. As a result, labor may not be going as quickly as the doctor would like. Therefore, he or she is likely to recommend induction. Oftentimes, doctors use the drug Pitocin, which is the synthetic form of oxytocin, which our bodies produce. This drug makes contractions more painful, which as a result can lead to the use of other medications for pain. Not only does this negatively impact the baby, but now the mother is not able to fully engage in labor and will have a hard time pushing her baby out just simply because those muscles aren't able to be fully activated. And this may lead the doctor to use forceps or a vacuum extraction or a cesarean section, which something crazy that I read was that in the States, 40% of births are C-sections. In Canada, it's like 32% or something. Like 32% of births are C-sections. Like, that's freaking ridiculous and not necessary. Like, maybe there are some cases where a cesarean is 100% necessary, but I think there are a lot of times when the doctors are just like in a rush. Now, to make these matters worse, the baby is often taken away from the mother right after birth, which in itself is seriously traumatic because the baby has just spent the past 9 months in the safety of the womb and now is in a completely new environment with nothing familiar around. Like, that is actually very traumatizing. And birth trauma is another thing that I really want to talk about. I'll probably make a separate video about that just because it's like such a huge thing. Birth trauma literally affects people throughout their whole entire lives, and like a lot of people do healing work to heal from birth traumas like late in their adulthood. We could just prevent that right off the bat. Like, why wouldn't we, right? I could go on and on about that topic literally forever. But the next reason that I am having a home birth is because it is so empowering In our society, we typically give our power away to authority figures and trust whatever they say over our internal guidance. In the case of doctors, we typically think that because they are medically trained and have experience and a lot of knowledge on anatomy and physiology, that they must know what our bodies need. But this belief is so disempowering and totally disconnects us from our innate wisdom of our bodies and our intuition. One example is how doctors instruct us to lie on our backs when we are in labor and giving birth. If we were listening to our instincts, we would know that this is absolutely the worst position to give birth in. This position basically, it constricts the pelvis and birth canal, which makes it smaller and more difficult for the baby to exit, and also causes more pain, and is very uncomfortable for both the baby and the mother. And this also goes against gravity, so it makes it so much more difficult when the natural position to give birth in is usually squatting. Some women like all fours, or some women prefer to stand as well. But basically, you want gravity assisting the process, and you want the pelvis to be as open as possible. Same goes for pushing. If you are not medicated, your body will tell you when to push and when not to push. I personally don't want someone yelling at me when to push, when not to push. I'd rather just listen to my body and tune into that and not be distracted by other people yelling at me, and just be able to listen to my intuition. That's just me. So the last reason I want to talk about goes along with the theme of feeling relaxed and comfortable and in a stress-free state, and that is freedom. I will feel so free being at home. I can do whatever I want and feel completely comfortable and relaxed. I can be in any position I want. I can move around as much as I want, however I want. I can eat whenever and whatever I want. I can go outside. I can sing. I could dance. I could do yoga. I could listen to music. I could make love, which is, by the way, one of the best things to speed up labor, apparently, so I've heard. I mean, I never have done this yet, but that's what a lot of women claim. I can really just do whatever I want and feel totally comfortable and in the moment, and be able to listen to my intuition, which is ultimately what I really want. I just want to be able to fully tune into the moment, tune into my body's inner wisdom, and just let it happen as it naturally should. So those are the reasons why I'm choosing a home birth. I could probably think of more, but this already took me quite a while to put together. And I'm sure I'll be making more videos about this kind of stuff in the future. I would like to make a few more videos before the baby comes, but who knows, how things are gonna go. I'm just trying to honor my body as much as possible and give it everything that it needs, and just be fully present throughout this time as I prepare for my little babe to come earthside. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this gave you some value if you are considering a home birth, or maybe you were just curious as to why some crazy people decide to give birth out of the hospital. Thank you so much. Look forward to talking to you soon. Bye.